Did you know that sanitary pads was developed by a black woman named Mary Beatrice Davidson, born May 17th, 1912, and returned to the Essence January 13th, 2006? Until sanitary pads were created, women used all kinds of reusable fabrics to observe menstrual flows. Mary's invention was initially rejected because of racial discrimination. The world had no choice. Her invention was too important to be ignored. It was later accepted in 1956, 30 years later. Another one of her inventions is the bathroom tissue holder, which she co-invented with her sister. Did you know that? Well, now you do. Peace. Did you know that?
Test. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can see you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. You got action.
All right, y'all. So welcome back to another episode of My Quality is for Real. I am your lovely host here, Queen MyQuality. Here I have real talks with quality people who have real purpose. And today, just like any other day and any other interview, I am sitting here with a person who is definitely walking in their purpose. Miss Difernt. Is that how you? That's what I should have asked you. That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, girl, different. You got it right.
Okay.
Different, but it's spelled different. Diferent. So yeah,
right. It's spelled
the
different, and I was like, okay, is it that? But yeah, so I'm here with Miss Difernt Caldwell.
Yeah.
She is a really dope lady out there in Houston, Texas, by way of Houston, Texas. I'm from Fort Worth, Texas, so we pretty much like cousins.
Like brothers and sisters, that sibling rivalry.
Yep. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into it.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. 1 second, let me get a drink. Sorry about that. Yeah, what's up, everybody? How you doing? My name is Difernt. Big shout out to Queen. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Absolutely.
So a little bit about myself. As Queen stated, I'm from Houston. I'm 30 years old. I'm a graduate of Sam Houston State University. Some of my hobbies include traveling, meditating, working out, reading, writing. I love watching Shark Tank. I'm really big on praying and meditating and just being in tune with my spiritual side, if you will, and my third eye. What else? I guess about my background coming up. I had a pretty good upbringing up until the time I was around 11, and then things got a little rough, where me and my family, we fell in hard times and ended up on the streets for about 3 years. And at the age of 14, I was secretly placed in foster care by one of my relatives. And for the first 6 months of being in that system, I tried my hardest to come home. And until I found out that the kids that stayed in foster care and aged out, they received a free tuition waiver. And so a light bulb went out of my head and just thought, hey, let me use my street smarts to, elevate my book smarts. And I went ahead and duked it out those 4 years in foster care and came out, and I don't regret that. I ended up going to Sam Houston State and ended up getting 4 degrees. I have my BA in international business. I have 2 minors in business communications and 1 in economics. And then I have my master's degree in entrepreneurship. I'm also a Texas real estate agent. And so by the grace of God, even though my story started out rough, I'm with the grace of God, it's going to end on the right note.
Absolutely. We're the same age. You know what I'm doing? I need to catch up. That's what.
I could have been at this point, but you know what it was for me, Queen, and it's a big part that I want to talk about is with mental health. As many as of all the accomplishment I just named, you would think I had it together, but I had a lot of demons that I had to battle, and so even with my upbringing, that spilled over into my adulthood. Coming from that background, I know it may sound a little, crazy, but I know some people out there feel what I'm coming from. But coming from that background, chaos seemed normal to me, and so when I got taken out of that situation, placed in foster care, and I actually got placed in really good homes and schools, and so it was so new to me. and it just seemed too good to be true. And so I sabotaged him. And that type of behavior spilled over into my adulthood, to where, I was given, so many opportunities, all the accomplishments I had, people saw that and took notice of me, and wanted to, take me under their wings. But, those demons in the back of my head telling me, I'm not good enough, I'm too country, too ghetto, they're not going to like me. I actually had a meeting with the CEO, a multimillionaire, who could have took me places, but was the connect. But just, I didn't feel like, it was just those demons in the back of my head telling me, I'm not worthy of it. And so I literally, came late on purpose, and it left a sour taste in that person's mouth. And so right then and there, that forced me to look at the ugly truth within myself, forced me to face the fact that, I needed help. I needed to fix my issues. I need to go fix my mom and daddy issues, whatever you want to call it. I need to fix those issues in order for me to achieve and be the person that God meant for me to be. I've always knew that I was destined for greatness. However, again, with these demons that I was battling, it was stopping me. And so it wasn't until, I just started to say, bump that. I'm going to go fix my issues. I'm going to dismiss that notion that, Black people don't do therapy, or we don't talk about our issues, coming up in that culture or that upbringing where you were taught, what goes on in this house stays in this house. You know what I'm saying? So you don't talk about, what you went through, you just keep it inside. And so I just started to say, bump that. I'm going to go fix me and do what I got to do to get to where I'm supposed to be in life. And once I did that, and I'm in therapy now 2 years consecutively, and I'm proud of it. And we'll tell anybody that in a minute, because it changed my life and it saved my life. With that, talking with my therapist, who's now one of my mentors, and he's helped me and helped me understand, how to refocus, and turn that negative energy into a positive energy. And so with doing that, and being stuck in the house for the pandemic for 2020, because I was traveling until the pandemic happened. And then when the death of George Floyd also occurred, being the same place that he's from, I grew up in 5th Ward, but I also spent some time in 3rd Ward, which is where he's from. I wanted to get involved. I wanted to march. I wanted to have my voice heard. But I also, when the time came for me to attend his funeral, I couldn't do it because I wanted my voice to be heard longer than in just that moment in time. And so, like I said, being in tune with my third eye and praying and meditating and talking with God and asking for the spirit of discernment to, as well as a long time ago, I prayed and asked God to allow me to be the one to break the generational curse in my family and create generational wealth. And so with all that coming into play, as well as I'm tired of, the other side of it, racist people in the world, claiming that racism isn't alive and, they don't see color or, it's just some other excuse other than, accepting the truth.
Right.
And so all that intertwined, this is what came about my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. And so I started writing the book in June 2020. I finished it in December 2020. And once I did that, I reached out to an attorney and she looked over it and she called me and she was like, this is great. I think it's going to do well. But one question, what's the name of your business? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's my book. It's what if, I'm telling them, I kept telling her the name of my book. She's like, right. What's the name of your business? She's like, I don't think you understand it. You have to have a business if you're going to sell a product to the public. And so from there, one thing about life, when you think you know something, you got a handle on the reins, it comes through and knock you off and just reminds you don't know nothing.
We're constantly in a learning state. We're
always
learning.
Exactly. So never stop learning, never stop growing. It's always an evolving, moving ball. And so between December and March 2021, December 2020 and March 2021, I had spent that time praying and meditating and researching as well, the rules and regulations that's running, a small business in Texas. And so praying, meditating, talking with God and just asking him what my business should be and what it should be about and what the name should be titled. That's where 3rd Eye Entertainment LLC was born. Because when you come into Difernt's world and you take a look at what you'll see what my third eye see, and you will be entertained by it. Mm. And if you ask the question, well, what is 3rd Eye Entertainment all about? Here's what this is our creed. We strive to bring social awareness to society through our products and services that educates, inspires, and entertains all at once. We also have a motto that we live by, that in order for one to attain to guarantee success in life, you must manifest and speak into existence of what you believe in. Second, you must plan for what you believe in. And third, you must prepare for what you are about to receive. So therefore, our motto at Third Eye ENT is manifest, plan, and prepare. Okay. And so with that being said, all of that forming the LLC, our first product that we have to present to our public is my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift. Okay. And before I go any further, let me know if I'm talking too much, if you want to jump in.
No, you're fine. You pretty much kind of ran down, my question.
Okay.
But it's good. Like it's good. I'm not even, you good.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm gonna keep going, but if I'm going too much or going too far, just jump in and stop me. But with my book, What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift, I must state that it does come with a disclaimer. It is intended for a mature audience only. And so if you can't take the heat, don't come to this kitchen.
So is it like a comic book? Because I know that there's like
the way that I had it set up,
graphic illustration.
The way that I had it set up is in rudimentary terms. Doing my research and studying my target audience and wanting to be able to keep their attention span, I thought that it would be good to insert illustrations and keep the wordings very simple and short. I'm basically just asking questions and then showing you the pictures. If the question doesn't hit you, the illustrations are definitely will. What If? A Controversial Paradigm Shift is written to encourage and inform constant and consistent thought-provoking conversations about systemic racism and injustice in America. Yeah, and this is done through graphic but provocative illustrations. It details on controversial deaths and events that have occurred in America within the African American community. And the way that I have this book set up, I have it categorized in 4 main paradigm shifts: historical, political, precedent, and hypothetical. And within those 4 paradigms, there are sub-paradigms that are asking questions about each of the events that may have occurred historically, that have occurred politically, precedent-wise, or even hypothetical within the African American community. So, for example, one of the sub-paradigms in the historical paradigms we have, I'll give you the first one, 1619. It asks a question: what if in 1619 Africans started dealing in slave trading, wherein they kidnapped millions of women, children, and Englishmen and brought them on slave ships to America?
Oh,
so,
girl, see, you trying to stir it up hot. You know that
this book again it comes with a disclaimer. It is sensitive content. It will ring some bells. It will make a lot of people uncomfortable. The illustrations are strategically set up as gritty and grimy. It's meant to make you uncomfortable. It's meant to make you think. It's meant to spark and rub you on the wrong way, to the point to where you have no point but to share your opinion about it. And again, the purpose of this book ultimately is to stimulate, the conversations. I'm so tired of people saying or, pretending like it's not there. And, we march, good enough and it doesn't work. So let's try something different. Why not do, a race role reversal of them, simply just asking the question, what if this happened to you and your ancestors? Right. What if this was still happening to you? How would you feel?
Right.
And
that's what gets me sometimes. I understand how there's some people who I talk to and they'll say, well, I don't even let that get to me or whatever. Okay, you may not let it get to you, but let's not pretend like it's not there. Like we have to first, don't overlook the fact that it's there. Yeah, you may not care about people being racist and all of that, but don't say, oh, it's no racism. If people really still racist, like, yes.
Right. You're right. Exactly. So if racism doesn't live or it doesn't exist, then how about this? How about we show you an illustration of a white person being lynched or beaten by a slave master? How would that make you feel? If that pisses you off and it makes you upset, but yet it's justified when it happens to a Black person, or it's the past we need to get over, you have some sort of excuse as opposed to acknowledging that it's wrong.
Exactly.
Then that's how racism still exists.
That was so long ago.
And even with the precedent paradigms that I talk about, I have paradigm shifts that talk about things that are going on now in the African American community, with the unrest and injustice, the killings of unarmed Black people, by police. And so in those paradigms, I ask those questions, what if Breonna Taylor was a white woman, who was asleep in her apartment, and the Louisville, Kentucky Police Department broke down her door and she ended up dead, and what if these were Black police officers who didn't face any charges for her death? I asked those questions. I asked questions about George Floyd, Tamir Rice, Jordan Davis, Trayvon Martin, Jacob Blake. I asked those questions, and then even I the pictures between historical through precedent are gritty and grimy, specifically. And so if you can make it through those chapters, the main chapter, even though it's a short chapter, it's the main chapter of all hypothetical. This is where I tie it all into, what if, we as open-minded people, come together on both sides and sit down and have the conversation, that's needed to be had, and I'm well aware that change doesn't happen overnight and it doesn't happen with just one person. But what if, my main question, Queen, is what if, this is the generation that plants the seed for the next? And so with this book, it is my hope and aspiration not only to start the conversation, but to plant the seed, that will bring the change, the systemic change. I'm tired of saying systemic racism. I want to say systemic change for once.
Right.
And so brings the systemic change that we need. And another thing with this book, it's not only meant to make you uncomfortable, but it's meant to make you think about, compassion and humanity, and just showing, love and kindness for one another. We're all one and the same. We're human, and we're all going through something personally in our personal lives, whether we have finances, relationships, our sexual orientation, our identity, whatever it is. Right. We're all going through something personally. And so, you never know what the next person might be going through. So why not show love and kindness and compassion for that person, no matter what their skin color is, no matter what they, their religious beliefs are. And so, although I do present it in a gritty manner, if you are a person who, quote unquote, I hate that word, I'm woke. I hate people who say that, because if you really woke, then just be quiet and pay attention. Those are the real woke people. But for those who have common sense and understand this book is not intended or meant as, a tool to be used for the Black community to be inspired to, uprise against the white community. No, it's not. This book, is meant to, like I said, to stimulate the conversation and, rattle your cage to make you think, what if, and even if it doesn't, bring the change that I'm hoping, at least I tried, Nothing beats a failure but a try.
Yeah, this is really dope. And I really, as I'm sitting here, as I'm listening to you, like I can really see like a show, like a movie. Like this is because
girl. So again, like I said, our motto was manifest, plan, prepare. So I have already manifested. I have a book of like manifestation. I wish I could pick it up and show you.
Yes.
But like where I manifested, for this book already, it's gonna sell millions of copies. It's gonna win the Nobel Peace Prize, Pulitzer Prize. This is the book that will ring the world. Yes, girl, and as well as I see this book being turned into a miniseries. That's what my hope is. In 2023, I want to start shopping the script around and get it turned into a miniseries. I really would like for either Regina King or Ava DuVernay to take over this project and head it. And so I'm manifesting it, just speaking into existence from my mouth to God's ear. So you're right. Don't worry.
And I am too. So you know what I'm saying? If you need it. See, it's divine for us to connect. I also wanted to tell you too, thank you. Thank you. Kind of like, I guess, going back a few years or whatever, when you talk about mental health and how, we be in our own heads. And with this show, that's one thing I am really always in my head, because, we are our toughest critic. And when it comes to interviewing people, I have kind of built up, I was real confident, reaching out to people. And then, you start getting the no's or you start getting ignored. And so I just, was like, what, maybe this not for me.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody really paying attention to me. Ain't nobody checking for this show. And then I have people like reaching out to me and I'm like, okay,
one day, it's just one day God takes you from the back and puts you to the front.
Yeah.
And
So I
so
just
that's why you
wanna,
just got to keep going. But yeah, thank you for
absolutely.
that. Mental health for me, like I said, it saved my life, and it ties into my business. I forgot to mention with Third Eye Entertainment, we also provide written and video material touching on issues, such as injustice and systemic racism. We talk about LGBTQ issues, suicide prevention, mental health checkness, as well as, child advocacy, sex trafficking, gender rights, women's rights. We talk about all the issues that are considered taboo and often swept under the rug. And so mental health is definitely on the list that we talk about and advocate with my business, especially in the Black community.
Absolutely.
Suicide is at all-time high because of mental health. It's not being checked. And so we already know there's an issue with racism that we're fighting against outside. But in order to be, I'm a realist, but I'm an optimistic, but I'm a realist as well. And so if I'm being real within, ourselves and within the community, these are the issues that we got to fix within ourselves.
Right.
Talking about mental health and being more open about it. I definitely applaud, Taraji P. Henson for being one of those, Black women, that's using her platform to talk about, mental health and advocate for it, and try to get others and motivate others to get involved. Excuse me, and just get that in check. Like I said, it's okay not to be okay, but just don't sit there and not be okay.
Right.
Because, and for me, also, when Robin Williams passed away, that was my favorite all-time actor. Coming up, I loved all his movies, and when he passed away, I said in my mind, I said, man, that's going to be me if I don't get it together. I was I would be one of those people that look good on the outside, that's all well put together, have all these accomplishments, but years on down the road, you're gonna wake up and get that call, oh, different, she offed herself, she committed suicide. And so I didn't want to be that.
Wow.
And so that's also what forced me to go and get help, if you will. And it sounds so sweet. I guess it's the connotation that, again, and within our community, that upbringing that most of us were taught is that Black people don't do therapy. We don't talk about our issues. And so that's where we can start when it comes to mental health, not just in the Black community. I'm pretty sure there's other people that feel that way as well, that have that, they suppress those real emotions of how they feel. And we just got to get over the hump. And the first way that we can do it is to talk about it and acknowledge it, and then work from there. And so here I am, doing my part and trying to, push the envelope. And so for anybody out there listening, it's okay not to be okay, but just don't sit there and not be okay. Go get help, man. As far as, talking with a therapist, a family member, a friend, even call a hotline, they still around, they free, they don't know you, you don't know them. And so if it gets to the point where you just want to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, do that. That helps as well too. It wasn't until I got into therapy and got serious about it and was consistent with it, that this came about. It had not did what I did, there wouldn't have been no book, there wouldn't have been no Third Eye ENT. And so thank God for that, for me. And so I say that to anybody look, I'm a living witness. I'm an example of what, getting your mental health in check does for you. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm actually dealing with depression now as you speak, but I'm better with it. I'm more open about it. I'm not holding it in and not, drilling myself about it. If something's bothering me, I talk about it. If I'm not able to talk about it, I write down. I journal a lot now. I pray, I meditate, I pick up, hobbies. I exercise, if you will. I do something active other than just sitting there and being dead on the inside. And so that's the most important thing for me. Yeah, the Third Eye ENT.
That's the bad thing about depression too, because I also deal with it. And it's I really feel like the pandemic, as bad as it was, it really was good too, because it forced us to sit down somewhere, and it forced us to sit with yourself. And I had to realize too, like I didn't realize how much I was just running from sitting with myself. Like I was just constantly on the move, because Oh, it's too quiet. Let me get up. Let me go to my mama's house. Let me go to the store. Let me do something else besides sit here and deal with, like you said, those traumas. I didn't have a lot of childhood trauma. A lot of my trauma came from when I got older, when I got grown, when I started getting into relationships and friendships and all of that.
But still, whatever it is, if it's affecting you in a negative way, fix that shit, man. Sorry, excuse my French.
No, you good. But, for real,
fix it, fix it. Go fix it, man. And don't be ashamed about it, man. Because trust me, you may not know it, but you helping and inspiring somebody too. Even though they may not be commenting on it or responding, they see you, they hear you, and so for you, like you say, I use my issues. It was through traveling. I kept running away through traveling. Going all over the world and still wasn't happy. And when I come back home, I still have to deal with, what happened in the past, my mistakes in the past. And so I stopped torturing myself. And the only way that I did that, was to get into therapy. And that was the best thing for me. And it still is, so that's all I can say with that.
That's dope. That's dope. And you've been to, like you said, like over 50 countries. Do you see what
just about 50 countries?
About 50 countries. What difference do you see going to those other countries and then coming back to the United States?
Well, I tell you one thing, it makes me much, 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 much appreciative. Even though sometimes America can be grimy, we got our ways and flaws. It's always, when you go out there to other countries, you're reminded that, somebody always had it 10 times worse than you. And so, for instance, when I went to the Bahamas, their everything is imported there. So their food, the clothes, everything is imported from different places. And so everything's expensive just because of that. And so even for the people that live there, not just tourists, they don't pay a high price. And so when I went to a grocery store, a little 8-pack of Gatorade, girl, guess how much that cost?
I'm like $12.
About 25.
What?
American dollars. A little 8-pack, $25. And I have the proof. Go to my website, girl. I do travel blogs too.
Oh, wow.
You will see that. Yeah, girl. And so that's what I've learned from traveling, is as well as, it opens your mind to different world and your horizons. So I say that to anybody who hasn't traveled yet, just go somewhere at least one time. It will change your life. For me, traveling started back when I was in college. I was blessed with the opportunity to travel abroad. I went to South Korea. I studied abroad in Daegu in Kim Young University. So shout out to Kim Young. And within that 4 months I spent in Korea, I got to travel to several other countries like Europe, China. I went to Japan. I learned so much within that time frame, and it planted that travel bug in me, as well as that's where I started learning the powers of manifestation and speaking things into existence. When I was there, I guess I had me a little Korean boyfriend, and he was really big into like chi and energy transfers, and he was the one that planted the seed for me and taught me about. Well, he didn't teach me, but he, because I didn't take it serious at that time, but he's the one who put me up on game about, manifestations and speaking things into existence, and even, talking about astral projections and stuff. But I didn't entertain it then, but knowing what I know now, and when I went to, get my mental health checked, that's when it came into play. But traveling, it played a big part of me understanding and respecting the powers of manifestation, the laws of attraction, and speaking things into existence, and understanding the power of the tongue. What you speak comes to existence. And so I try not to let any type of negative thing come out of my mouth that can take manifestation and come to life. I've actually done that before, to where I manifested my worst fears, and it came to life out of thin air for me just picking at it. And so I thought to myself, if I can manifest my worst nightmares, why not manifest my biggest dreams, my biggest goals, my hidden secrets, my true, hidden secrets of myself, what I always seen myself as, as a little kid. And so that's where it all came into play for me with traveling.
Well, you definitely have a very interesting story. And just to hear your story, and like you say, you come from sorry, let me turn this off. I didn't realize that was loud.
No worries.
You have a very interesting story, and just to listen to you talking to see you now. You know how they say like we don't look like what we've been through. You know, and that's another reason why I did this show is because a lot of times, yeah, you and Arthur and a lot of people, they see all of your accomplishments and they see all of this, but they don't really get to see the person behind it. They don't know your story. A lot of people think that you just wake up and I just wrote this book and, you know, and I'm just this and I'm just that. Yeah, you know,
like this
happens and it doesn't. And it's a lifelong journey. It's definitely a lifelong journey, you know, and you got to keep walking. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for you for reaching out. I'm grateful that we connected. You know, I really feel like you like my long lost sister. I'm gonna have to get off the phone and call my dad.
Just a lot, Mine was a Rolling Stone, and we still ain't got the DNA test. I told his ass, let's go tomorrow, girl. You can't be my daddy.
But you are definitely really, you know, walking in your purpose. Can you let the people know how they can find your book, how they can find you?
Yeah. So the book is actually going on pre-sale pretty soon. You can go to differentsworld.net, spell again DIFERNTSWORLD.net. That's my website. You can also like us on Facebook at Th3rd, spelled TH, the number 3, RD, LLC, EYE. And just like us on Facebook, and that way you can keep up with us and you can see the updates for when the pre-sale starts. Also, real quick, I forgot to mention, not only within association with the book, we also sell merchandise that's associated with the book, such as backpacks, apparel, like sweatshirts, t-shirts, hats, coffee mugs, what else, bookmarks, other things as well. However, they will not be available during the pre-sale. They'll be available later on in September. But again, you can go to my website, differentsworld.net, and we have our other social media handles on there as well. But that's the main website. You guys can get at me there. It has my email address as well, the business phone number, and all that other good stuff.
Okay. You said you wanted to shout out to somebody too. You wanted to make
I want to also give a shout out to my nephew. I forgot to mention him too, Sayon. He's also a part of the book. He's on the front cover. He's the little boy that's asking the questions, if you will, the way they have it set up. So shout out to him, giving him some clout, as well as I want to take this time to give a shout out to my mentor who gained his wings this week, Coach Saul Solis, the godfather of MMA. We lost him to COVID, but he's in a better place now, and I'm just gonna honor his name by, you know, living by what he taught me, and which is, you know, in order to be the best, you got to do the shit that the opponent won't do. And so I'm just going to live with that and keep that with me and keep his name alive with that. And so rest in peace, Coach Saul. Other than that, yeah.
You didn't even touch on that. You were an amateur. You was an amateur fighter too. Like you just lived the whole.
I'm not talking about that no more.
Like, what have I been doing?
It scares people away. So I try not to talk about that too much. It scares the men away. So I try not to talk about that. But yeah, all I can tell them with that is come and learn. So you just get to know the real, you know, get to know me. But right now it's all about the business, baby. So promoting the book. Also, just let me say this with the book. I did mention that it came with a disclaimer, and this book it's going to ruffle some feathers. But I will say this to those for that and the people out there listening. The point with this book, also, what I've learned is that from number 45, y'all previous one, he ain't mine, so I never acknowledged him as mine. But number 45, you know, what I've learned from him is you go where you celebrate it, not where you tolerate it. You know, because after all these, you know, this ruckus that he caused within those 4 years of being in office, and even afterwards, this man had 25% of the population, which is around 300 million adult Americans in the U.S. So that's 75 million Americans condoning his BS. And so whether people are talking bad about this book or good about it, your belt has been wrong. And with that being said, I'm gonna go where I'm celebrated, not where I'm tolerated. And so I'm not worried about, you know, what the haters have to say, and people out there that's trying to say or going to say that this book is a tool to try to inspire the Black community to uprise, you know, against the white man. No, it's not. It's just meant to make you mad and you ring your bell and make you think about the things that have occurred and that are occurring in the Black community. And so
it's thought provoking. You know,
thought-provoking. There we go.
And thought-provoking, which I feel like is dope, especially coming from a woman, like a Black woman at that. Like, you know, because of all of the stereotypes, and again, your story where you
Southern Black woman doing this from the Southern state.
You know what I'm saying? From my state, you know, so I gotta represent, you know. So I'm inspired.
Girl.
Like you have really inspired me.
Definitely. I told you, girl, this is what we do. We try to educate, inspire, and motivate you. And so this is what happens with Different World. You come into Different World, and this is what my third eye sees. So come and learn. Mm-hmm.
Well, I appreciate you. Again,
Appreciate you, Queen. Let me take this time to remind you and thank you. Let me give you your flowers and thank you so much for having me on your show. And just let you know you got a crown in your hand and you are ran it the correct way. And you keep striving for greatness and whatever it is that you want to do in life. You're gonna have your TV show, girlfriend. It's coming to you. Just manifest, plan, and prepare for that shit. It's coming.
Thank you.
Never
Thank you so much. Coming. And you definitely will be back. You will be on the show. You definitely you got a spot, okay? Because I know by then the series gonna be out. You're gonna write more books, so we're gonna have more to talk about.
More books are coming. Definitely. I can't wait to see and so what you have. I feel your energy. It's so good.
Yeah.
So don't worry. I feel high hopes for you. It's gonna happen. Just keep striving for greatness. And anybody else out there listening, just strive for greatness. Manifest, plan, and prepare for that shit. It's coming to you. Speak words of beauty, and you will be there. I often tell people, you either trying to have that come up like Cardi B or they come back like Robert D. There's no more in between. That's one thing, you know, the pandemic taught us, you know, life is not promised and tomorrow's not guaranteed. So those who trying to, you know, have that come up and they want to live that good life, it's time to get rich during the pandemic or die trying. At least that's what I'm trying to do, if you will. All while stimulating some minds and breaking the generational curse and creating generational wealth for my family. And that's all I'm trying to do with all in one. Yeah, girl.
All of that. We definitely gonna do all of that. Well, thank you so much for blessing us. You know,
thank you have for having me, Queen.
Oh, My Quality is for real, y'all. This has been another dope episode. I mean, I just keep running into all these dope people. So as long as I keep running into them, y'all will definitely keep having dope content.
Keep going. That's the only way you're gonna keep running into them, Queen. Keep going. Don't you stop. Don't stop.
So here again, we have real talk for quality people who have real purpose. Sis, thank you so much. You enjoy your day. Y'all definitely check her out.
Different World. Come and learn, everybody, for sure.
Yes. For sure. Well, I will see you later. Oh yeah,
yes, love.
Today we in the future is September the 13th, and yep. So this is the episode.
So actually, the pre-sale is over with, but hey, still go to my website and buy
okay, because I'm gonna post that.
For sure. Either way it goes, no worries. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Well, you have a good night and peace, everybody.
Peace.